Hello, I haven't made a vlog in a little bit, so here's some more updates. On my life, I saw a woman in a freezing puddle, passed out face down. That was really disturbing. And I just walked past. I looked again, and there was somebody standing by having a cigarette. They weren't doing anything, and I thought maybe I should do something. When I was approaching, I was walking back from the dollar store, and it's like kind of like a cold but slushy day. Like it was really cold, like minus 30s, but then it warmed up to like minus 3 or something today, and so it was kind of slushy. And there, I saw a jacket at the bus stop, but it was like positioned in a weird way. I didn't realize that there was a person in there, and it was like a small person. And then I just saw like there was a hand that was like in the puddle, like the frozen brown slush puddle, and that was a person. So they're either OD'd or what, but that was disturbing, and I feel terrible for that person. And like I say, there was somebody standing there having a cigarette, like right by, and they were kind of looking over, but I looked again, and I just kept walking. And I said a prayer after. I know you might be thinking, why didn't you call 911? I don't know. It's that bystander effect, maybe. Not to justify it, but yeah. I did hear sirens later. But there's a ton of homeless and beggars and drug addicts, though. I gave to a beggar today, not to exalt myself or make myself sound good, but this morning I was praying, and I was praying that I could come to know Jesus better. And then I was reading Luke 6, and it was saying in there, give to those who ask of you. And I actually copied down most of Luke 6 because it was really good. And Jesus was saying, blessed are those who weep, for they will laugh, and blessed are, I can't remember all of it, but it specifically said in there to give, and that the rich people will be, it'll be like woe to the rich. And so this beggar came up to my car door. I had just come from, where did I come from? Oh yeah, okay, so I went to the university today because I wanted to get out of my house. And I go to the university sometimes to try to evangelize, like talk to people about Jesus or the gospel, but I'm not very successful at it. But today although maybe I am successful, just that I go and mention the name Jesus, but and I haven't talked to a ton of people, only about 5. It's actually really hard. And especially I get really terrible anxiety about it. But then, so I went to the university just to read the Bible and continue copying out Luke 6, and I was also reading Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future by Father Seraphim Rose. And then I was coming from there, I was going home, and then I saw a store that sells like church things. It just said like church goods or something like that. And so I went in there because I was wondering if they had icons. Because I kind of wanted an icon. I heard that it's good to just stare at icons. like you can, sometimes your prayer can just be if you focus on an icon while you're praying, something like that. The priest told me that. And then that you don't always have to be saying something or thinking something. And then so I found an icon that I wanted, the Rublev icon, which is actually the Holy Trinity. And here I'll actually show it. So this. So this is the Rublev icon. It's like the only depiction of the Holy Trinity that's possible. Because it's the only like description in the Bible that we have of like something that you could really make a picture of, because the Holy Trinity came to Abraham and talked to Abraham. I'm pretty sure it was Abraham in the book of Genesis. And it was 3 persons. So the Holy Trinity is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And I really like it. And so I bought this, and then I was going home, and a beggar came up to my window as I was driving. But he like came like directly up to my window, because this happens a lot. Like you'll see beggars on the side of the road. They'll either be holding a sign or they'll walk forward along the row of cars that are lining up during rush hour or whenever. And they'll just like hold a cup or a sign, and occasionally someone will roll down their window and give them money. But this beggar, he walked directly up to my car window, and he was like on, like, I don't know how to really describe it, but I was in the center lane and there was no median or anything. He wasn't standing at a median. You know, sometimes there's a divider, like a physical barrier, and they'll stand on it. And there was none there, and he wasn't in the middle. He was on the sidewalk. I was in the center lane of a 4-lane intersection. And he walked like across the outside lane to my car, didn't stop at any of their cars. He just went straight to mine. And he held his cup like to my window, the passenger side. And so I just like went like this to indicate like, okay, come over here. And so I gave him some money. And I said, I think he might have said, God bless you to me. I said, God bless you back to him. It was just sort of like a force of habit. But then I remembered like the greater always blesses the lesser. So I said, God be with you after that. You know, I don't really want to imply that I'm greater than other people. And actually, it might be weird to say, but I think in some ways, like, the beggars are greater than like some of the rich people. Although maybe not in like all the other ways that you might think. But I'm not sure, like, maybe like on a spiritual level. So then he asked me for more money. He said so he could get a pizza, and so I actually felt like a twinge of like anger in that second. But then I humbled myself, or I remembered like the Bible reading, and it was all really quick. And then I gave him more money. And, you know, he said thank you and God bless you. And I said, you know, God bless you. And it was very quick. Then the light changed. Then I drove away. But I think I had seen that same beggar before. And actually, he had asked me for like money or food or water before once, but he came to, I was walking home from the gym, and he came to me in like a weird area, like there was nothing around, and it's kind of like almost like an industrial area a little bit. And I told him, like, I don't have anything on me. I didn't have wallet. I didn't have food. I didn't have or I did have a wallet. I just didn't have any cash. I didn't have water or food to give him. And I was telling him I don't have anything, like, you know. And he seemed like really upset, but like not upset at me, but almost like, I don't know how to describe it, just like an in pain person. And I felt bad about that, but I think it was the same one, actually, same person, same beggar. And I felt bad about that first interaction that happened a long time ago, because I was thinking, like, I was reading the Bible and it says, you know, Jesus will say to you, I never knew you, when you come to heaven or to judgment after you die. And I was thinking about that. That's why I felt really guilty. Like, I felt bad about that. But I actually talked to a priest about that. But the point is, though, about that, it's not exactly about that singular beggar, but it's more about, like, the principle of it. It's just like, God is in other people. And it's almost like the spirit of other people. And that's how God knows you. At least partially. I'm not 100% sure on, like, that's completely how, but yeah. So that's what I was upset about. So anyways, I gave to that beggar, and I'm not trying to, like, exalt myself, but I'm trying to stay humble, but I just wanted to point that out, that happened. And I've heard too that, like, things, you know, happen for a reason. So some people, they might say, like, oh, well, you just got ripped off or whatever, but I don't really think so. You know? But I would say that we live in at least here in Canada, it's a dying country. We live in a dying country. There's so many beggars. Actually, after I gave money to that beggar, I came home and, like, some tears hit me. So I just cried at home, and yeah. But I was thinking of that in Luke. It said, those who weep will be comforted, or will laugh. It said something like that in Luke. But Luke 6. But we live in a dying country. It's like being killed. More accurately, is our country's being killed. Canada, the West. And then tonight, actually, I organized a Bible study, which I'm kind of looking forward to it. I'm a bit nervous about the first one, but it should go well. And I hope hope somebody shows up. You know, it's just a drop-in one on Discord. And I just wanted it to be, like, weekly for 1 hour, where people can come and read the Bible and discuss, and, you know, see what happens, like, see what we talk about. Just pray that our conversation is holy. And I think that would be a good idea, because, you know, people are not spending time with each other as much as we used to. That's just statistically. So yeah, I'd say I'm still a sinner and I need to stay humble. But yeah, I didn't talk to anybody at the university, even though I kind of wanted to. I didn't actually talk to people. It's actually hard. Somehow it's hard. Like, sometimes it's really hard to actually go up and talk to people. You kind of have it in your head, at least I do, that it could be easy, or you kind of prepare something in your head or whatever, but to actually go up and talk to somebody, it's really kind of difficult. And it feels like you wait. Sometimes, like for me, it feels like I'm waiting for the right opportunity. But the thing is, those never really come, the right opportunity, quote unquote. And then also, depending on how you think, like sometimes, like if you're in the flow, that's a whole different scenario. But for some people, like for me, like depending on how you think, you can think of things like in the past. You're like always thinking of like, oh shoot, I could have talked to that person, I missed that good opportunity right there. Meanwhile, other good opportunities are like going past, but that would be called being in the flow. If you're able to just see something and then just go right into it, that's they actually classify that as a flow state in psychology. And there's other states too, but yeah, anyway, so I've been reading the Gospels because I haven't even read all of the New Testament, so it's kind of stupid, honestly. I'm so religious, but I haven't even read the entire New Testament. But the thing is, and the reason I'm so religious is because I know it's true. Does that make sense? So, yeah. Because I kind of know it from, like, felt experience, right? Like, I felt the love of Jesus. And then also I know it from other research. So, I don't really know how to make that make too much sense. It would take too long to explain. But, yeah, I haven't even read the entire New Testament or all of the Old Testament, although I've read parts, I would say I'm like a third or even half, probably like a third of the way have read the entire Bible. It's a huge book and I'm a slow reader. So I've been taking agmatine and saffron, agmatine sulfate and saffron, which have actually been helping me to feel more normal and less crazy. I feel like I legitimately was going like too crazy. Like I'm pretty sure I was crazy for a long time, but yeah, and that's a tough one because no one actually wants to be crazy. Although some people, they seem to own the label, but or I don't know, but not very many people want that label. But the world is so crazy is the thing. So it's like it's pushing people to feel awful. But doing or taking the saffron and agmatine sulfate has actually helped me to feel a lot better. Just because it's kind of helped relieve pain, It's in so much pain. But and I'm kind of like always in pain. I think I have like chronic pain or something. But if you're always in pain, over time it makes you like go nuts. Kind of. Like, it also makes you have to have more faith too, because it's just miserable, right? But yeah, God doesn't give you anything more than you can bear. I've been studying politics because I watch like a lot of political shows, or not a lot, but I do watch stuff about politics, like Nick Fuentes' America First. And the thing is, like, I don't really know a whole lot about politics. So I wanted to kind of know, like, the basics of politics. And so let me explain what I know so far. Just a quick, what I learned. And I just was using Grok and asking, like, basic questions, like, what is politics? And then I copy down the answer, and then I highlight the parts that make sense to me, or that I feel that are necessary to give like an explanation of what it actually is. And so politics is the study of who gets what, when, and how. That was the simple definition by Harold Lasswell in 1930. So you could say, oh, I'm watching a politics show, or you could say I'm watching a who gets what, when, and how show. They're the same thing. That's talking about the same thing. Effectively, or it should be. But the thing is, a lot of people don't even know what the word politics really means, and I didn't really fully know what it meant people just have vague kind of ideas. Oh, it means government. It means, but the definition, there's different ones, but it's who gets what, when, and how. And it's like if you have a group of people, there's always politics that ends up happening. And then, in the ancient times, that's what Aristotle talked about. Man is a political animal, he said, and man flourishes in a community or a polis, which is like I think it either means city or it means community, but a polis, Polis, or a polity. And and then so I looked at, well, what is it? So that's the basic what it is. And then what are the different areas? So there's 4 different areas of politics of political science, 4 main areas, main subfields. And then there's other ones, but they're not the standard core 4. And the core 4 are political theory. And then there's comparative politics and international relations or global politics. And then there is, I forget what the last one is. Yeah, I forgot. But so anyways, so then I searched what are the main political systems, and so there's about 7, and there's democracy, rule by the people, demo meaning people, cracy meaning rule. And so a lot of countries fall into democracy, but they're not like a direct democracy or a pure democracy. They are a representative democracy, or I think they're mainly a representative democracy where people elect representatives. But then the other type of system is a republic, main political system. And a republic, I was getting confused. What is the difference between a republic and a democracy? It was really hard to actually figure that out. But essentially, I found out that they're almost like used interchangeably. Although there is a difference. A republic is you elect officials to govern you. It's res publica. It means public affair or a public matter. But you elect an official or an elected person to govern you, but you have no king or queen. And so the United States, people say it's either like a constitutional federal representative democracy or constitutional republic, something like this. It's both, apparently. And then so you have you also have monarchy, which is like a king or a queen, hereditary ruler. And you have you can have a constitutional monarchy, I think. You can have a type of monarchy. I'm kind of getting confused a little bit. That is like it's just a monarchy in name, but in effect it's there's elected representatives and stuff. So Canada is like that. I think it's a constitutional monarchy, something like this. I might be a little bit wrong on that. I'd have to go back and double check. But then you can have authoritarianism, and the extreme form, which is totalitarianism. So authoritarianism is it's ruled by one or a small group, and there's also different subtypes. I'm kind of forgetting. There's like a one-party state, but yeah, it's basically like rule by force, kind of like that, and it's supposed to be very oppressive. And then, examples would be like, I think Stalin's USSR, or that might have been a totalitarian, but North Korea is something that would fall into one of those two categories. But totalitarian is like the extreme form, and then you could also have there's like communist or Marxist-Leninist, which is it never actually works out. It ends up being like a authoritarian one-party state, but it's supposed to be a classless society, something like this, but it never actually works, or has never worked in the past. Although some people always say that it could work and it's just never been done right, something like this. But a lot of people say it could never possibly be done right. But then I think you could have like some that never actually happen. Oh yeah, I forgot oligarchy or oligarchy. That's like a rule by a few elite or wealthy or aristocracy or but they say that a lot of people say that those oligarchies, they actually exist within other systems. They're just hidden. So effectively, you could say like the United States is an oligarchy, but it's just hidden within, a false front of a democracy, of a representative democracy or a republic. And you could say like it's ruled by a few elite, or a small group of elite, billionaires or Jews or something, or controlled by Israel or something. But and then the last ones are like technocracy and anarchy and I think there might have been some other minor ones, but they're not anything that ever really gets used. But technocracy, we're supposed to be headed toward that. A lot of people say, but that's techne means art or craft, and crassy means rule. So it's rule by elite technicians or people who just understand the technology or can control it. And so we're supposed to be like headed toward a technocracy. A lot of people think that, and it could be true. I mean, I don't know. But like the technology would be like the ruler sort of thing, and then it'd be a few elite. But anyway, so I learned the different political types of systems. Although you can tell, like, not perfectly, but I kind of want to learn the general outline of what is there possible. And then I went into political theory. And I just wanted to learn like a summary of what political theory is. And so there's different eras of political theory and then major thinkers and ideas in each era. And so I just copied those out and I, just went through and highlighted. And I'm not going to go over all of them because I can't really remember all of them. But it was like ancient, and then there was, 5th century BC to 5th century AD. And then there's like, I think, medieval from 5th century AD to 15th century. And so you get like Plato and Aristotle in the ancient political theory period. And then you have, I think it's Machiavelli in medieval. I might be wrong, but yeah, you go through all these different major thinkers. You get to the guys like Hobbes and Locke, and I think in Enlightenment, maybe they're in there. I can't fully remember. And then there's like, you get to Rawls. I thought Rawls had an interesting idea about the original position and veil of ignorance. I wanted to disagree with it, but I thought, like, when I read it, I was like, wow, that's kind of a good idea. He was saying that like he did a test where he put people under what he called the veil of ignorance in order to find the original position, where he just stripped people of their identity, and so nobody knew what class or who they would be in the society. And then he had them all choose like what system would you choose? So people had no choice but to choose one that was like pretty much equal, because they had the chance of being the lowest status person or the lowest tier of person, if you could put people into tiers, right? And so they chose things that were kind of like more equal and stuff like that. So I thought that was actually an interesting idea. I didn't really have a dispute for it once I read it. But then I was thinking, well, he's playing with identity, so that would probably be where the issue is. Once you start messing around with identity, that's kind of where the issue is, I guess. because you can't really fully divorce someone from their identity, although people try. Yeah, you will just mess people up if you try and do that. And your identity is like inborn, right? You can't separate it. If you're black, white, Asian, whatever. If you're male or female, if you're 5 foot tall or 6'5", even though some people get surgery to try and increase their height, like, you know, identity is a really important one. But anyways, and then, so next I'm going to go through and try and study the big questions, like the foundational questions. So, and that'll be how I finish off the political theory, and I'll move on to comparative psychology. But the foundational questions are like, what is justice? What is power? What is equality? What makes a government legitimate? What makes it illegitimate? So I'm going to go through and try and answer the main big questions, or at least write down answers, get the answers and write them down so I know the different positions. And then I'll be finished that. Then I'll move on to comparative politics. I'm actually looking forward to comparative politics because that is where you look at all the different countries and the different systems. And you don't even have to just look at the systems current, like modern day or present day. You can look at the political systems throughout history as well. And this is like an area where I'm very lacking, you know. In all of politics, I've always been lacking. Like, I didn't really have a clue because no one lets you talk about this stuff very much. It's always a gate-kept topic, you know, around the dinner table. Don't talk about politics. Don't talk about religion. Or at school or almost everywhere. It's like, even when I was at like a religious group, like the Knights of Columbus, they would say, we don't talk politics around here. Like, it's like, dude, nobody talks politics. Like, everyone's too afraid, like too butthurt to talk politics ever, it seems. And so people just walk around with this just like anger, at least in Canada, and they never like really talk about ideas or politics or anything. And it's like, these are the basic ideas. Who gets what, when, and how? These are the things that concern people, right? People are trying to get stuff. They're trying to get it quickly, and they're trying to get it efficiently. And yet, you're not allowed to talk about that. So, anyways, I'm sort of learning that stuff now, even though I'm 30 years old, but hey, better late than never, I guess, right? And so comparative politics, I'll look at the different systems and start to learn a little bit more about the different countries and everything around that, right? Because when people bring up stuff like this and you're just clueless, you know, you just kind of have to nod your head or keep quiet or say something that's a safe thing to say, or you have to ask questions. And sometimes when you ask questions, which I've done in the past, people don't know anything. People don't know anything. Even if they try and act like they know stuff, it's like they don't know anything. So, or they know stuff that's wrong. So it's kind of important to like learn a bit, right? Seriously though. Okay. And it's weird too because people go through their whole life and they don't even know anything. Like old people don't know anything. Like, not to be rude, but some old people don't even really know much. And just speaking from like my own experiences with some people. So anyways, but it puts you at a pretty serious disadvantage if you really don't know anything, because you can just get swindled or fooled or go along with what's wrong, right? That's the whole point of learning it, so that you can try and make a good decision. All right, so moving on though. My mom sent me my grandfather's grave marker from my dad's side, which I'd never really known about, or like all the details. So it was interesting because I got to see more of the details from the website about birth date, death date. He actually died like 2 years into when I was born in 1997. But I don't know. Maybe I met him. I'm not sure. When I was a baby, but And then I got to see also like the siblings, and then I got to see also like the parents. So I think I might have been able to see like the grandparents too. So I got to see like my grandpa and great grandpa and maybe great great grandpa on my dad's side, which was interesting. Um, but yeah, I would like to be reunited with my family, but my family's really broken. Like it's really broken up, and it's a tough topic to talk about. But I wonder like what's in the way. And when I think that question, I just think, well, it's you know, my family's broken, and there's all kind of bitterness, resentment, pride, traumas, mental illnesses, and huge, huge fights brewing or stewing or ready to break out if you say the wrong thing. And then on top of all of that, there's a fake veneer. So that's really tough, like, because there's not like a simple answer to it. And so my answer to it, which is actually kind of simple, but it's also the best answer, I think, is I pray for my family. And I tell them to pray too. At least the ones that I talk to, right? But, yeah. Because there's tough topics that people just get angry about, like, seriously. And I don't even, it's like no one wants to bring them up either. But, yeah. And then the next thing is that I told my therapist, I went to my therapy again, and I told my therapist that it's probably over. Like, I think it's over for white people. And, I'm kind of coming to that conclusion, but a lot of people haven't really come to that conclusion yet. And I'll give my reason why. So I just think about the birth rates and immigration rates, and then the demographic trends. The thing is, though, these things are logical, but you cannot talk like this with most people. And my therapist is a woman, and women can't think like this. They're not able to. They're not capable of it. Some, very rare, and I mean this, it'd be very rare if they could. Maybe younger ones can, but the thing is, most women, they're incapable, it seems like, of talking about this and understanding it. Like, it seems like they're not able to have the conversation, and they get so angry and so defensive. But I said it's it's over for white people, and I was mentioning partly it's because, well, mainly like the things I say, like what is going on in the trend, but also because women are like easily controllable by the media, and they have suicidal empathy, and they're really affected by personal stories. Like women are. Men can be too, but it's a much less amount. But the thing is, if you let women vote and you just scare them or, trigger empathy, they vote against their interest as a group, right? So they may vote for personal interest, but as a group, my point is that it's over for white people because as a group, they're choosing everything that's in the interest of causing their own extinction, like erasing themselves and everything. But is because they've also been under, I'm talking about white people, have been under attack extremely heavily. And not just like an attack like you would understand, like somebody walking at you with a baseball bat. No, it's a psychological attack. It's spiritual attack. It's propaganda attack, subversion, guilt and shame narratives. That's what's been attacking white people for 60 years or since World War II. But even before that, and I was saying like, women should not have gotten the right to vote. That was a huge mistake. And women hate to hear this. And probably a lot of men too, but the reason I say that is because of, like, what I said. Women are really swayed by personal stories. And so that's kind of like what's going on. Like, yeah, we're screwed because of that. Like, yeah, it's kind of over for white people because of that. Because now you have all these things like the modern left, like leftist issues, like the modern left, like that leftist people care about, like feminism, LGBT, communism, racism, and there's other things as well, but these are all creations of or spearheaded by Jewish people, by Jews. And this is all modern leftist ideology. And dude, we're screwed because of this. Like, yeah, it's really rough, like, especially in Canada, but yeah, women have suicidal empathy. Not all of them, I'm saying. I kind of have to repeat that, but it's a majority, and that's what you need. It's like if the majority, wants to eliminate itself, like, they're screwed. But so the birth rate stats and the trends, that equals over for white people, but it's all planned, obviously, and it's probably not really news to a lot of people who know about this stuff, but it's probably news to some. But it's called the Kalergi plan. People say it was a conspiracy, but dude, it's all real. It's all true. And so white liberals, they're biased against their own in-group, and other groups are biased for their in-group. So white liberals actually hate their own in-group. Like, they hate other white people. Like, they have a bias against them. This is resulting in self-elimination as a group, like, not as, like, individual person, right? But as a group. And other groups, they're biased for their in-group. So Black, Hispanic, Asian, other races, they actually have a bias toward their in-group. So this means it's over for white people, basically, because they can't take their own side. And what's the core issue? The core issue is a lack of faith. Yeah. So I'll read a few verses here. So it says here, I forget where these are from, but they could probably be easily found, but they're Bible verses. So foreigners who live in your land will gain more and more power while you gradually lose yours. They will have money to lend you, but you will have none to lend them. In the end, they will be your rulers. All these disasters will come on you, and they will be with you until you are destroyed, because you did not obey the Lord your God and keep all the laws that he gave you. They will be the evidence of God's judgment on you and your descendants forever. The Lord blessed you in every way, but you did not serve him with glad and joyful hearts. So then, you will serve the enemies that the Lord is going to send against you. You will be hungry, thirsty, and naked, in need of everything. The Lord will oppress you harshly until you are destroyed. The Lord will bring against you a nation from the ends of the earth, a nation whose language you do not know. They will swoop down on you like an eagle. They will be ruthless and show no mercy to anyone, young or old. They will eat your livestock and your crops, and you will starve to death. They will not leave you any grain, wine, olive oil, cattle or sheep, and you will die. They will attack every town in the land that the Lord your God is giving you, and the high, fortified walls in which you trust will fall. When your enemies are besieging your towns, you will become so desperate for food that you will even eat the children that the Lord your God has given you. So, I'm not sure if that 100% applies to today, but some of it certainly sounds like today, because the one where it said the Lord the Lord will bring against you a nation from the ends of the earth, a nation whose language you do not know. They will swoop down on you like an eagle. Nobody knows Hindi, okay? Like, white people don't know Hindi or Punjabi or one of the other East Indian languages, but we're getting flooded with East Indians. And it's like, you go anywhere, people don't understand what these people are saying, and yet they're talking loudly. They're in their own groups. You know, they don't assimilate. Whoever said that was going to happen was such a liar, dude. Why did people think that was going to happen? They're just naive, I guess. And the thing that makes you angry as like a younger person, like I'm 30, right? So I'm not that young now, but when we were kids, it's like, why didn't our parents do anything? Why did they screw us? Like, why did the boomers screw us like this, right? That's kind of what the anger and the resentment part of it. And in my own family, and this is a conversation that would probably never happen, but it's a true thing that's going on, is that two of my cousins, and I'm not trying to talk badly here, but they married people of other races and, you know, other cultures and other religions. So basically what that does, and people hate to hear this, they think it's so horrible, but what that does is you end up worshiping other gods. It says this in the Old Testament all over the place. It says don't intermarry with the other tribes that worship pagan gods. It says that all over. It's like if you intermarry, yeah, you end up worshiping other gods. So anyways, white people are just getting destroyed. That's why I say, like, is it over for white people? Like, you know, people don't realize this stuff. Like, come on. But nobody wants to hear it. So anyway, here's a good one. And these are just my my printed things. Children are not a distraction from more important work. They are the most important work. Yeah, children are not a distraction from more important work. They are the most important work. I think that's true. Here's a study showing that zinc improves depression. Although it said zinc supplementation on antidepressant therapy. So I don't know if that's talking about antidepressants as in pharmacological, or did it mean antidepressant as in like CBT or something, like cognitive behavioral therapy. But it probably meant pharmacological, but I'm not sure. But it said that zinc supplementation helped lower BDI scores. That's Beck Depression Inventory. Something that they give people pretty commonly to test how depressed they are, or if they're depressed. And yeah, so zinc is really important. I've been taking zinc. I do feel less depressed, like I feel better. Here's another one. It says love should never be sacrificed for some dogmatic difference. For the sake of some dogmatic difference. I think that's a good one, especially among Christians. I'm not really sure. That one's a tough one, actually. But that was St. Nectarios of Aegina. Because those dogmatic differences are actually important. So, that's a tough one. But you're still supposed to love people, so. I really like this one. Okay. I'll show it. And then I'll read it. It says, Haggis has a hole in his roof. He never fixed it because on rainy days it is too wet to work, and on sunny days it doesn't need fixing. And then someone commented, I never understood the third world mindset until just now. That was funny. On rainy days it's too wet to work, on sunny days doesn't need fixing. This one, just quickly, it's about personality profiles of fans of different book genres. I thought it was interesting. So the people high on neuroticism, so more predisposed to anxiety, negative feelings, depression. They like romance books, memoirs, comics, drama, paranormal, girls fiction, young adult, manga, horror, fantasy, satire, and to a lesser degree, women's fiction, classics, and philosophy. And I thought that was interesting. And then people who are high on conscientiousness, that means like your hard ability for hard work or your inclination toward doing hard work and hard work. They're more interested in self-improvement, religion, mainly. And then extroversion, people high on extroversion, like outgoingness, they like South American, drama, racial, religion, memoirs, humor, women's fiction. And then for agreeableness, very high on religion. If you're very agreeable, it's very high on religion, books, and for openness, like openness to trying new experiences, philosophy, people very much like philosophy books, sci-fi plays, and to a lesser degree horror, comics, and South American. I thought that one was interesting. Alright, here's another one. Tolerance will reach such a level that intelligent people will be banned from thinking so as to not offend the imbeciles. Fyodor Dostoevsky, the famous Russian writer. He wrote Crime and Punishment, among others. This is a graph about percentage change in European fertility rates over 10 years. Kind of tough to see, but it says just that, UK has gone down 21%, Italy down 15%, Germany down 13%. I think that's Turkey down 36%. Ukraine kind of obviously down 43% because of the war, most likely. And then I don't really know the flags that well, but 2 of them went up. I'm not really sure what those 2 are, but there's 2 that actually went up by 5% and 9%. I'm kind of not too sure on all the flags though. Violence much more accepted by the left. So if you're very liberal, 25% said yes, violence can sometimes be justified. If you're very conservative, then only 3% said that. And there was a lot more not sure's on very liberal. So young people and Democrats were also more likely to say political violence is sometimes acceptable. Which actually makes sense, right? The left actually will kill you. They're kind of crazier. But POV, you won World War II. That one just shows the percentage of the world's population of European descent. So it was at 30% after World War II, or above 30%. And now it is, I think it's around like 8% now. So a huge drop in European population. Percentage of Canadian women with 0 children by age group. So ages 20 to 29, it looks to be, above 80 or 85 or maybe 90% of Canadian women have 0 children who are 20 to 29. Dude, that's not a good thing. Like, all right, it's over for white people, I think, because these people don't even care. Like, you talk to these women, they can't see outside themselves, it seems, somewhat, and they can't see into the future very much. So it's like they're blinded, but they care about like career, getting drunk, going to the bar. If they don't care about that, they care about getting tattoos. They care about dumb, really dumb stuff. Like social media has fried them for a large part, but like TikTok and whatever, and they're way into like a different reality or a different world because their political views are so far left for most of them. A lot of women are left or liberal, but it's gone way more far left, and yeah. So, but 30 to 39, it's above 40%, and yeah, that's not a good thing. I thought this one was funny. Bumble filters set in advanced filters by female users by height. So this one's hard to see. But basically what it says is that like 90% of users, it's over here, it's percentage of inclusion in filters set on the, I think that's the y-axis. It's like they all want a guy over 60%, no wait, almost 60% want a guy that is over 6'1". No wait, 6 foot. Yeah, almost 60% of women want a guy that's over 6 foot. You know how many guys are over 6 foot? It's like less than 5%, or it's like 5%. You know, but that's just an average. It changes depending on your ancestry, but yeah. So this is funny. Oh, this one was really good. This one's really important. Okay, so this is a study, and it says empathic neural responses are modulated by the perceived fairness of others. So I'll explain. In the abstract, it says both sexes exhibited empathy-related activation in pain-related brain areas towards fair players. However, these empathy-related responses were significantly reduced in males when observing an unfair person receiving pain. We conclude that in men at least, empathic responses are shaped by valuation of other people's social behavior, such that they empathize with fair opponents while favoring the physical punishment of unfair opponents. What it's saying is that women don't care. Women didn't care. So it was a test to measure people's brains, like the brain areas that lit up, like the empathy, specifically the empathy-related areas, the fronto-insular and anterior cingulate cortices. When they were watching people play a fair game and get punished, or cheat at the game, be unfair, and then get punished. So the men, they were happy. They were not empathetic. They actually increased activation in reward-related areas correlated with an expressed desire for revenge. The men actually felt better, like a reward, when they watched the unfair players get punished. The women, it didn't happen. Women empathized both times. When the people were unfair and they got punished, the women still felt bad for them. Dude. That explains a lot. Women have suicidal empathy. That's called suicidal empathy. They don't care. If you cheat, if you do like all this like stupid stuff, it's like women don't care. They will just continue to feel bad for you. You know, men will be like, okay, you know what? You might need to go to jail. You murdered somebody, you raped somebody, you stole, you committed crimes, you did things incorrectly. You might need it might be fair for you to be punished. With women, they don't somehow, no. They don't think that way. They still have empathy after all those things. Or after unfair, at least in this study, unfair playing of the game. They still had empathy. Okay, so how it started, a jury of your peers, how it's going. Actually, I gotta point that out. When I was in school, and all my teachers, like most of my teachers were women. And dude, it sucks. They always want you to have empathy. They're always telling you to be empathetic, be kind. Always telling you, like, basically telling you that it doesn't matter. Just be kind no matter what. Even if other kids are mean to you, they don't really care. They're just upset that people are upset and they want you to be kind. It's like there's no logic going on. So that explains a lot, to be honest. That women have they don't even really, it seems like they don't even have the ability to desire for there to be justice, for people to be punished if they were behaving unfairly. Women will still reward people who are behaving unfairly by having empathy for them. So, and the thing is, from like a female perspective, it's like they think that's a good thing. It's like, dude, our whole country's screwed. Our whole country's screwed, man. So, anyway. And the weird thing is, like, when I was very young, we were told, like it was like common knowledge when you're very young. Like, among young guys, it's like they know. Like, young guys know. And sometimes old guys would kind of wink and nod and tell you, like, women are crazy. Like, you know, it's just something we have to put up with. It's something we have to deal with. In hindsight, those old guys, they lost already a long time ago, probably before they were born. But it was just all sliding downhill further and further. And maybe they thought things were gonna get better. But then when we grew up or got older, it's like we kept getting hammered and pushed with more and more propaganda that you're equal to women. Women are equal. It's like they can do just what a man can and stuff like this. It's like everybody knows that's not really true. But yeah, it's almost like too late, kind of. I'm not trying to really hate on women. It's just that they've been put into the wrong role. They've been put into a man's role. They shouldn't be there. So that's why we're screwed. Or part of the reason. Big part of the reason. But it's easier to trick somebody than to convince someone they've been tricked. So now, it's like now that women are in that role, they don't want to give it up. You know what I mean? Most of them don't. They will get extremely mad at you if you say that they shouldn't even have the right to vote. But I don't think they should. Like, I think that was a huge mistake. But it's like, what do we do now, you know? That was our forefathers screwed that one up. So, yeah. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But here's another one. How it started, a jury of your peers, how it's going, a jury of racial aliens who hate you for being white. This one sounds pretty harsh, but look at the data. Juror guilty votes by defendant and juror race, United Kingdom. So they said white defendant guilty. Non-white jurors 73% of the time said yes, the white defendant is guilty. The white juror said 39% of the time, yes, the white defendant is guilty. And then non-white defendant guilty. Non-white jurors, 24% of the time said that they're guilty if they're non-white. And then white jurors, 32% of the time said non-white defendants are guilty. This is crazy, man. Look at that difference. The difference is huge. Like, white or non-white people have a massive in-group bias for their own non-white in-group. And they also have a out-group bias against white people that's huge. White people have maybe a small in-group bias. White liberals have basically a negative in-group bias where they hate themselves. But non-white people, like, dude, we're screwed. They will not convict their own people, but they'll convict a white person at a huge rate, different. The rate is so huge compared to how white people vote. Or judiciate on a jury. Net support for allowing speech form. This one's actually hard to interpret just because of the way the data is laid out. But basically what it's saying is that, you know, white people, when they say that they have the net support for racist speech, if people want to allow racist speech, white people will say 25% will say, yeah, okay, we can do that. Hispanics, they'll have a negative amount of support for racist speech. Same with Asians and others. Blacks will actually have a small amount. White people, they will have a huge amount of speech, allowing free speech for anti-religionist, communist, fairly large for communist, fairly large for pro-military dictator, but a much less for these other groups. So my point with all of this stuff is just that these groups of people, they do not think the same. My whole point is that people live in different realities in that they actually don't think the same way. They don't interpret the world the same way. They don't have the same thoughts. Like, not really. Like, values and stuff. Like, dude. Yeah. Like, white people are pro-free speech. A lot of other people, not really. But, yeah, this one you can't really see it, but it's just a graph of New York Times word usage frequency from 1970 to 2018. But basically it's saying, like, it's showing the amount of times certain words get used in the New York Times newspaper or articles. And it just skyrockets for these different terms. And this stuff is all deliberate. It's to F up people's minds. It's to destabilize. It's to make people just fight each other. So words like, I'll just give you some examples that just skyrocket around within like the last 10 years or 20 years. Sexism, misogyny, sexist, patriarchy, mansplaining, toxic masculinity, male privilege, feminism, women empowerment, racism, racists, institutional racism, systemic racism, whiteness, white privilege, white nationalism, white supremacy, KKK, homophobia. Actually, that one didn't skyrocket as much in the last as it also did in probably around 1980s. Transphobia, LGBT, queer, gay rights. That one also in 1980s. Gender neutral, transgender, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah. So, you know, it's like, they really, it's like who owns New York Times? All the news media, like all the media is owned by Jews or influenced by Jews. I'm not making that up. It's not a trope. Like, you can look it up. But yeah. So, yeah, I like this one. It's dating preferences one. It's about stated and revealed preferences. I really liked it, actually. The revealed preference number 1 is a good lover. That's what people are looking for. A good lover. Number 2 is loyal. Number 3 is supportive. Number 4 is smells good. Number 5 is honest. Number 6 is sexy. Number 7 is understanding. Number 8 is attractive. So, anyways, That was an interesting one. Here we have Louis the Ninth orders the burning of 12,000 manuscripts of the Talmud. That's just a historical fact. In 1242, French King Louis the Ninth, Saint Louis, who characterized himself as a lieutenant of God on earth, conducted 2 crusades. In order to finance his first crusade, he ordered the expulsion from France of all Jews engaged in usury and the confiscation of their property for use in his crusade. Louis also ordered, in response to the 1239 decree of Pope Gregory IX, the burning in Paris of 24 cartloads, or roughly 12,000 manuscript copies of the Talmud and other Jewish books. These he had ordered seized in 1240. So why? Why would he do that? Because they found out that in the Talmud, Jews blaspheme Christ. So Louis the Ninth, being a Christian, they found out that Jews believe Christ is burning in hell in excrement, and that he was the son of a prostitute, Mother Mary, among other things. And then usury is like a very common thing among Jewish people. I'm not trying to be really mean or anything. I'm just saying that that is truly a common thing. And so he was sick of it. And what is usury? It's exorbitant lending. It's lending at extremely high rates of interest. This is like a common thing all over the place. And it's like if you look at now, it's like who owns all the banks? It's the Rothschild family. You know, they use front people or whatever, but in finance, it's like, dude, look at the numbers. It's mostly Jews, or it's a lot of Jews compared to their proportion of the population too. Here's another graph: percent ever married. So it just shows that people born in the 1940s, 80% above got married, and then it started to lower until you get to the 1990s. It was about 50%, and the 2000s, you know, the trend is just really not looking like it's going to take off very high. But this one, there was a spelling mistake. I don't know why. I'm pretty sure the data is correct though. But it says likelihood of getting pregnant. It should be pregnant. And likelihood of infertility. So if a woman is 20 to 24, I'm not trying to be gross or anything. I'm just saying these are biological stats that nobody talks about that are important. You know, she's got like an 86% chance of getting pregnant, but once she hits 30 to 34, it's 63%, 35 to 39, it's 52%. I think I've even seen more extreme numbers than these, but here's one, and yeah, so, and then when she gets older, it's like much more higher chances she won't be able to have children. I'm not trying to be mean or gross with any of these stats. I'm just saying, like, these are important things for people to think about and understand. Blue states see falling child population. So, in states with more Trump votes, the percent change in child population is plus 7.3% and minus 7.1% in states with more Harris votes. So about like a 14% swing. And more parents among conservatives. Percentage of adults aged 25 to 35 who have had a child by ideology. Conservative, it's dropped over time from 59, but in the 1980s to 2020s, it is 47%. And it was 47% in the 1980s for liberals, but it's dropped to 22% in the 2020s. And it was, that's among men. And then among women, it's dropped 5% in the 80s. There was 5% difference from 60 to 65%. And the difference is 40% for liberal women in the 2020s and 71% for conservatives. So huge difference just in ideology. That's why I say, like, white liberals, like, they hate their own in-group. They don't want to have children, just more on average, right? But anyway, this one just talks about, it's just New York Times articles about replacement theory is racist, sexist, doctrine spreads in far-right circles, and then article, We Can Replace Them, by a Jewish woman, Michelle Goldberg. In Georgia, a chance to rebuke white nationalism. Both New York Times articles. So they're saying replacement theory doesn't exist. And then in the next article, they're like, we can replace them, says the Jewish woman. And then this one was just a study that said that less intelligent people are more likely to be criminals. Our results suggest that the association between general cognitive ability and violent criminality is confounded partly by factors shared by brothers. However, most of the association remains even after adjusting for such factors. So they're more likely to be violent. And then this is a recent one. This is a recent tweet by Elon Musk. He said, whites are a rapidly dying minority. And it was in response to a tweet that said, truly astonishing figures. This should be a big warning for Europe. And then there was a Jew, Brian Krasenstein, said, why is this a problem, though? Elon says, whites are a rapidly dying minority. Jew responds, why is this a problem, though?